When you're optimizing emails, click-through rate isn't the first thing you should really be evaluating your tests on. And here's why. Hi, I'm Paige. I'm a conversion copywriter, and I just finished reading an insightful email from email strategist Summer Ois. Maybe you've heard of her. And the topic of the email today was about micro conversions versus macro conversions. So looking at, in the terms of email, things like open rates, click-through rates versus like total sales, total paid conversions. And I thought it would be a great idea to record a video on this because I'm getting ready to have this conversation with a client that I'm working with on email optimization. And so what the situation is, we launched some new hypotheses, some new emails for some other flash sale campaigns. And what we've seen so far is that open rates have increased significantly, about 10 percentage points, which is really great. That tells us that a lot more people are opening the emails. But click-throughs have dropped, not significantly, less than a percentage point, but enough to make me curious, right? And so I still don't yet have the data on how many conversions we're actually seeing through these campaigns, through the new campaigns, in order to compare them to previous campaigns, right? And so I'm holding off on making any sweeping assumptions about performance because I want to bring this back to the conversation around macro conversions and micro conversions, because what we care about most in this scenario is driving signups, driving paid conversions for these campaigns. And so in the conversion copywriting space and in the advertising space in general, you'll hear the term qualified clicks. And its opposite, of course, unqualified clicks, or what I like to call trash clicks. So the difference in a qualified click and unqualified click is that a qualified click is an idle buyer and someone who has enough information to prepare them for the next step, whatever that conversion is going to be. So in the realm of short versus long copy, sometimes when you're using a lot of short emails, for example, you will see more clicks and less conversions, right? Because the people need to click through to get more information, but they don't actually have the foundation that they need to actually convert. So you'll see a high number of clicks, but not of all those are qualified clicks because you haven't prepared that prospect to convert. And so sometimes when you start using longer copy that's doing more of that persuasion work, you'll cut out some of your unqualified clicks because people who are not a good fit for your offer no longer need to click to satisfy their curiosity, right? So they can see from the copy that you're using and say longer emails that they're not a fit or they're not interested for whatever reason. So your overall clicks might go down, but your total conversions could go up because more ideal buyers are actually clicking through and converting because they now have more information and details about your offer and why they need it and how it's going to impact their life. So in this scenario, I can't yet say if this is the situation. But the point I'm trying to make here is when you're optimizing emails and you're trying to evaluate whether or not your email tests are improving your actual goal or not, you don't want to look at just your click-through rate. In most scenarios, your click-through rate shouldn't be your first measure of success. You want to first look at your macro goal. So what is it you're ultimately wanting to achieve with these emails? In this scenario, it's sales, signups, paid conversions. You want to look at that first so you can evaluate whether or not your emails are actually driving more of your ultimate goal. Because if it is, then you know a lower click-through rate is actually not a bad thing, right? You're just cutting down likely on unqualified clicks. Now, that doesn't mean you can't work to optimize your click-through rate. You absolutely should, but you want to make sure that you're not prioritizing the click-through rate over the actual paid conversions. And this concept of macro goals versus micro goals is a mentality that you should adopt when you're optimizing pretty much anything, right? So if you've been following me for very long, you know that I've shared the story about the sales page that was getting like a 22% conversion rate. And then my client changed their traffic strategy and the conversion rate dropped to 8%. The sales page didn't change, but the conversion rate dropped. But they actually started bringing in more sales with a larger volume of traffic, converting at 8%, than they were at the previous 22%. So, in that scenario, we also want to consider macro goals, total sales, versus micro goals like conversion rate of the page, how many people are actually purchasing based on the total number of prospects who are landing there. So that's just more proof that you should look at your macro goals and micro goals in that order. Macro goals first, then micro goals, when you're optimizing and determining whether or not your copy tests are actually improving the performance of your campaigns. And also, we can't forget, when we're comparing results from our copy test, always run a statistical significant test with the results you get, because you want to make sure your winners are actually winners. Most of the email service providers and tools that you're using aren't doing this internally. They're not running statistical significance. So I recommend you use an online calculator for that. And as always, if you would like to partner with a conversion copywriter who looks at the big picture, who understands macro goals and micro goals, who understands how to, like, where to focus to make sure we're actually driving revenue and sales and the things that matter to your business, and we're not getting caught up in sort of the vanity metrics or the less important metrics and losing sight of our ultimate objective, which is revenue and sales, then we should chat. You can start a project conversation with me over at theimpactcopywriter.com.